welcome to another segment of Bella TV. I am so excited to welcome Ayelet Zurer to this show. You would recognize Ayelet actually from a former Bella issue, the Women of Influence issue in 2021. Megan Good was on the cover and we did a feature of influential women, and you actually opened the feature with a beautiful spread. So welcome back to Bella.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, very exciting. And Women of Influence was obviously perfect for you. You have had an amazing career, both film and television, worked with some of the best directors in the industry, Steven Spielberg, Ron Howard, amazing films, and quite a resume. So I'm going to ask probably an impossible question to answer.
Oh, no, okay. Should I be scared?
No, I'm just curious. Do you have, and again, this could be hard, a favorite role or a favorite character to date?
Ooh. I think my last two.
Yes.
You asked about characters, so I have, I'm answering to that question. Yeah, so I think losing Alice in Alice, as Alice, and again in Maite in Moonhaven, they are my favorites. I think because it's really hard to, when you grow up, your work also grows with you. And so looking back, it's usually the last few roles that you've done that you really relate to and love. And looking further back, you would want to change a few things or possibly just do some things differently.
Yeah.
So Alice, I guess, losing Alice and Maite.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that was your answer, actually. I believe when we featured you, you had just released Losing Alice, and this is Apple TV Plus. It is an erotically charged thriller, psychological thriller. You obviously playing Alice, a director who kind of, very successful, took a step back to, be with her family and take on family life. And, you're kind of feeling maybe a little bit stuck. And until you meet this woman, Sophie. So for anyone who hasn't seen the show yet, could you give us a little background just on the plot and your character?
Well, it's really a story about an artist that happens to be a woman and would love to go back to work, but she can't quite find her footing. And she's deeply confused about how to approach it. She's bored and feels irrelevant. And then when she meets that young artist, she sees herself and suddenly finds a way to create again. But in some ways, the creator, the creator's soul is really a monster. Turns out to be a monster for her. And but once it's awakened, she has to go a certain way, and there's no turning back for her.
Yeah.
And she pays a certain price, but willingly, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But that's really the story. It's a story about an artist, what it means to be an artist, and what it means to be a woman artist.
Yeah. There's
raise kids and have a family and try to juggle that with work.
Yeah, and obviously, a big, theme of the show is women and the relationships we have with ourselves, that we have with one another, and different feelings of guilt or anger, sexuality, aging, and so many other kind of layers. And the characters, like you said, very deep layered characters. And I'm wondering just kind of your take on the dynamic that we as women kind of one, have within ourselves, and then how it affects our relationships with other women as well?
Well, I think it's a really complicated issue because I think women tend to compete. I think men tend to compete as well, but I think with women, we are taught that we don't have this. If there's one woman in a certain position, then there's not a lot of space for another woman to be in. And I think this is changing with more opportunities, thank God, especially in our field.
Yeah.
I think it's changing, and that creates more space for women to work together and to support each other and to help each other to be what they can become. So this is an evolution question. I think the more space and equality is put in our world, the less competition we tend to believe we need to be under. So I don't know what it is. I know from my experience, for example, on Moonhaven, just if I take back the conversation to talk about that a little bit, we had a very large group of women on the show because there's a really equal amount of women ruling, women acting in the show, and all kinds of people, genders, and we actually worked so well together because we realized through the fact that we were isolated because of COVID and quarantining, and that we really only have each other. So we took walks together and ate together and supported each other and helped each other learn lines for other scenes. And that was, for me, one of the best experiences in terms of women working together.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know what it is, maybe because they were who they were and they were exceptionally generous and we all really made amazing friendships. I'm not sure what it is, but it really reflects in the show. Like Moonhaven, you can see the love, even though we had separate scenes, or some of us were nemesis in the show, we still really worked well together, and that was great.
Yeah, well, and to give a little background on Moonhaven as well, AMC Plus, it is a sci-fi, again, another kind of thriller, mystery. It literally opens with a murder, and things unfold, but the premise is this, essentially the crumbling of Earth as we know it, and it's set in the future, and people are now colonizing the moon to essentially find a way to save Earth, right? A solution to the problems of Earth.
You've done it so well. I would not have done a better job than you.
No, I think it's really cool because not only is it a sci-fi, but you see this and you think, oh my God, like could this be that far off in the future, right? People colonizing the moon and kind of the impact that we as humans have on planet Earth. So I was immediately captivated just by the premise. I thought it was really cool. But give us a little more background, obviously, on the show and your role as Mighty.
So you've done an amazing job. I'll just add that the moon is now colonized, but many, many years ahead. And also it's colonized by people who were separated entirely from Earth for 100 years. So there was zero connection. The only thing that bonds them is the connection of IO. There's one key holder on Earth and one key holder on the moon, which is me. It's a powerful position, but with no real status on the moon. Right. There's a lot of status connected to that position on Earth. Yeah. And also because of that, and because of the help of IO, which is in artificial intelligence that created Moonhaven and helped support it, the culture on the moon is completely different from the culture on Earth. You may think in the beginning that they're hippies. They're not. They are just really advanced in the way that they deal with emotions. They're not shying away from it. They're not scared by pain or fear. They learn to ride it. They don't repress. They show, they express. And they also have like amazing gadgets and things that I would like to have. And I'm playing Mighty, who normally would be a gardener and a teacher, an inventor, an empath, art collector, but she's a very wise woman. She learned a lot about human nature and humankind. That's kind of what brought her to be in the position she is in. But she's also very naive compared to anyone coming from Earth, because they never suffered like we do. And they are very grounded, but spiritual in a way, but not spiritual in a religious way, just connected somehow. And so it was like playing a really old child, someone who's childish but really wise and powerful, but not playing the power at all. So just that juxtaposition of that was really interesting for me.
Well, and you can see when it starts out, originally kind of, her position of power as this political figure is threatened. And you can see that, kind of mental spark turn on where, no, absolutely not. And you're like,
because really for her, the minute things turn the way that they do, they just don't make sense. And she's not very emotional at that stage. It just doesn't make sense to her. So she's not afraid to say what she has to say. But she has a very interesting, and I think it came from the lines, but maybe it was the effect of Ireland on me, and the fact that I was around nature all the time. This was my healer. I was walking every day. I was swimming in the cold ocean every day. I was walking into nature, looking at waterfalls and sheep, and just the nature of the whole experience really affected me. And I think what came out of it was the sense of not ever pushing more than what's given to me. And I think that can kind of became what Mighty became, which was, if you are, the law of nature. I think it's in Newton. He says every action is met with an equal and So for her, she would never push or be aggressive unless the person opposite her would be exactly aggressive, and then she puts it exactly just enough for it to be. So she's very fluid that way. And I think that came from me having the experience of filming there, but also from the material. So it was really special for me.
So there's, I believe, 6 episodes in total.
6 episodes with tremendous hope for more.
Well, I was gonna say, is there something, a tidbit you can give us that won't ruin too much, or?
How can I do that though? So we are learning slowly that there are others, but I think the story will take a turn if we'll have an opportunity to do that and talk about the idea that we always tend to give power to a force outside of ourselves, whether it's a god, in religion, a person we bow to, money, success, any concept of power, artificial intelligence, and that's going to be, I think, tested if the power comes from outside or inside. I can say that. Based on a conversation with Peter Rocco, who wrote it and did an amazing job.
Well, very exciting. I always love a good sci-fi or anything horror, creepy, or anything that kind of makes your mind work. So any psychological thriller I always love. And your character is great. So for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, AMC Plus, you have to watch it. Very cool concept. and like I said, might not be too far off of, potentially the future one day. So
Well, I mean,
who
listen,
knows?
I just read about a company that has in the gaming industry has eye movement detection, so
Yeah.
you can play just with your eyes, make choices like that. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Very crazy, but
Yeah.
very cool. And so kind of looking ahead, I don't know if you can say whether Moonhaven will have a season 2. Can we expect a season 2 with Losing Alice? What do you have coming up?
I don't know what's coming up. We're waiting to hear. I've been writing a lot and creating my own material for the last 3-4 years, and so hopefully that's gonna become real.
Okay.
And I'm still hoping for Moonhaven to have a second season. We'll hear from them at some point. Losing Alice is done for me, but I know that Sigal might be working or thinking about some sort of not continuation, but some kind of, and I'm hoping for her that she'll do it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Very exciting. Well, congrats on both of those roles and everything that you've done thus far. For all of our readers and viewers, let people know where they can follow along and keep up with everything that you have going on.
I am lame in social media, so I have an Instagram account. It's called Ayelet Zurer, my name, period, and it's connected to the rest of the world through, I don't know, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. I don't go in there. I'm so sorry. I respect people who do, but I just find for myself that I can't do too much around that because it takes too much time for me from doing other things. Like I noticed that even with having social media like that, like Instagram, I read so much less than I used to. So I'm trying to go back to.
I was going to say, you keep up on your Instagram pretty well.
I do, because it's my only outlet, my connection to the world and the people who appreciate what I do. And I have to respect that because I appreciate them. I truly do. And I have some people who've been writing to me for years, and I love that, and I usually answer, and sometimes interesting conversations, but the social media is a beast.
It's tough.
And if you don't control it, it controls you. And I just really like meditation, and I really like reading, and I really like writing. And if they suck the air out of me, I can't do all these amazing things.
Yeah, it's tough. But hey, again, the way of the world, technology, we have to keep up on it.
I know. I mean, you juggle, right? It's always a balance, I say. You kind of, the yin and the yang, they live together. You have to balance both.
Exactly.
It's just about balance.
Well, Ayelet, thank you so much for joining us. Nice to have you back at Bella and dive in a little bit deeper with everything that you have going on.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Until next time, everyone. Bye-bye.